Hi, everybody. I'm with Dr. Templeman, consultant and advisor, mangosteen expert, world-renowned in the not just the mangosteen, but the nutrient-rich portions of the fruit that have all the benefits. And we're going to hear about that today. The mangosteen, he calls it the only superfruit. Dr. Templeman, welcome to the program. Why is this the only superfruit, the mangosteen?
Well, I know that the term superfruit has been expanded to talk about a larger number of botanicals, all of which are remarkable in their own right. But long ago, my partner, Dr. David Morton, we were actually doing an interview, I think in Australia, live and on television. And he was mentioning all of the different things that were inside the mangosteen. And the interviewer said something to the effect, wow, that is just super, because super is a word that they use a lot in Australia, in my experience. And my partner said, yes, it really is a superfruit. And that was way back in the early 2000s. And the term superfruit had not been picked up by the supplemental industry the way that it has subsequently. And so a lot of things have been called superfruits, but the reason that Dr. Morton was calling it a superfruit was because when you get a botanical, whether it's a plant or fruit or wherever it is coming from nature, you're usually using it primarily for something which is characteristic of that plant itself. For example, beets. Beets are the best source in nature of the kinds of nitrates that the body will then convert into nitric oxide, which is a very, very important element in the body, serves multiple functions. And so beets become important. But beets don't have a whole lot of anything else in them that is renowned or tremendous. And this is the kind of way things were. Aloe vera, for example, known for the polysaccharides that are in it, and has many different uses, but it's largely because of the versatility of the polysaccharides that it has. It doesn't have large numbers or classes of nutrients that have been identified. But the mangosteen is different, because you'll see here, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, seven of the major classes. And the other thing about it is that there's not just a whiff or a sniff of these things in the mangosteen. There's a lot of them in the mangosteen. And we don't have time to look at it today. What I would suggest to everybody who gets a chance to look at this is to go to someplace like Google Scholar and just put in a question. What are the health benefits of catechins, for example? Right. Or what are the health catechins? What are the polyphenols is a very large category. Right. Say flavonoids, for example. And they can find all of these things in the mangosteen and in other fruits as well. Now, the mangosteen became really, really important, not necessarily because of this. This is all sort of the extra stuff that you get. The mangosteen has within it something called xanthones. And this class of polyphenols is really the source of most of the research of these 26,000 research papers that exist, because the the xanthones do not exist in any other commercially available fruit. In other words, you wouldn't be able to go out and get xanthones to be able to use them for the benefits that are being discovered unless you went to the mangosteen. And the mangosteen, of course, is in 17 countries, most expensive fruit in every one of the markets where it is. It comes in generally, it has 2 seasons, a small season and then a larger season in the middle of the year. And it is really, really expensive. And people wait for it. And those of them who are using it as medicine are going to, a traditional medicine, are going to be interested not in the part that people eat, the beautiful sweet whiteness inside really is nutritionally sparse compared to the hard, bitter pericarp, which is on the outside. And so I had another picture I should show you another time of how I did it early on when I was messing around with this. I actually got them, dried them out, pounded them down, put them in a blender, did everything I could do in a normal house to be able to get what I could do. And that was what I used in to experiment with things like warts.
Right.
I didn't know, for example, that you could take mangosteen powder and mix it into a base. In the case that I had Vaseline petroleum jelly, and I was able to mix it into a base like that and put it on warts and some of the nastiest kind of warts in the world, venereal warts. And wow, the results were just absolutely incredible. So instead of burning things off and cauterizing and liquid nitrogen things, I was able to use this little paste that people would put on under a Band-Aid if the Band-Aid was able to hold on, and just leave it on at night, and a few treatments and the doggone thing fell away. So I still don't understand that. I've never seen anything written in the science about it, but I was messing around with this powder that I had made myself. And because I have a home in Thailand, and I had just dried these things out on my balcony. But that's what the people in Thailand do. They will take this, and mothers will use it, and fathers will use it, etc., for all of the different kinds of things that they use it for. And if they are, clients of traditional medical practitioners, then they will go to them and get things which are much more sophisticated. Now, since the mangosteen became a North American supplement, we have drawn in very sophisticated processors of the pericarp there. They dry it artificially. They dry it effectively and quickly. Sometimes it's frozen, it's freeze dried. Other times it's dried with heat. They then grind it into particles that are extremely small, and it's sold all over the world now. Last time I looked, something like 40 different preparations for mangosteen, most of them powders. And so something like that, you can't mangosteen. You cannot get rid of it.
Right.
And even if you do bad business and have bad things happen to you in the business world, you can't kill the mangosteen.
Yeah, Dr. Templeman, the biggest thing what we found in your attraction with CTFO, and you really put us through the testing in the beginning and continue to, the xanthones, the proanthocyanidins, the anthocyanins, catechins, but the potency, it's in the rind of the fruit and in the mangosteen, but most important was, I think, CTFO's ability to extract those nutrients into a concentrate and then use the nano emulsion technology to be able to make it bioavailability. Because the two things that are important that I know are important to you is, hey, the potency, you got to make sure you get potency and not just a little piece. And you want to make sure it's bioavailable, because on their own, especially the xanthones, we all know that they're not very bioavailable, and it's tough to get them out of the rind of the fruit. So I think
Right.
in closing, I'll let you finish off and say, what was your impression of how we did that, and was it acceptable to you?
Well, you knew that I was skeptical. When we initially had our first contacts, I wanted to be certain that there was no way that I was ever going to get into a situation where I would be being asked to shade the truth.
Right.
So therefore, you were kind enough and went through with the studies that I asked in order for me to feel comfortable in stepping in and endorsing a product which I have believed in, the fruit, for years. But and I'd wanted to have a nano product. In fact, I even made a couple of nano products, but you, without a company and the knowledge and the ability to market and get it into the hands of people, it's not useful. And so when I saw that the work you had done in your preparation was such that we had in the lower portion of the nanoscale, in other words, we're talking down about the size of things that are going to be able to go into cells, because the area where the particles sit on the nanoscale is right where you'll find viruses. So if viruses, which are always by definition intracellular parasites, can get into cells, then something which is the same size is also going to be able to get into cells. And it's a real problem trying to get the body to be able to do that efficiently, because it really can't. And all you need to know is that the gastrointestinal tract's job really is to make things small and then to sort out what we need from what we don't need. And the availability of most of the concentrated things that people take in their mouth as supplements is still only 5 to 8%. And if you really want to know what it is, have a cob of corn, chew as well as you possibly can, then spend the next couple of bowel movements taking a look in the toilet. You'll see how effective the human body is at handling something. It polishes corn real well, but unless you were able to get it into a different format and make it smaller, it's not going to be able to get too much else out of the nutrients of the corn. So getting something outside the body that is already so small that if you can get it into the body, and you certainly can, and we know how to do that with the mist, then you already have something that can go to work. And we're not talking about 5 to 7%. We're talking about 85, 90, 95% bioavailability. That's the chalice that supplements have been chasing for a long time.
The most potent bioavailable mangosteen supplement brought to market, we believe, and up to this point in time. So thank you, Dr. Templeman. I appreciate you, and thank you.
We'll do it again, David. I like doing these.